Venkas, before we get into this episode, we have to let you know that we are doing a live show this year at Austin. October 20th at 9 p.m. at Vulcan Gas Company. We're doing a recap of the Austin GP. It's going to be epic. We did it there last year. It's an amazing venue. If you are in Austin, if you are going to the race, go home on Monday, come to the show Sunday. Link is in the description. Be there, Venkas.
Yes.
That was the most stressful day of my life. That was the most stressful afternoon I've ever had, Venkas.
Yes. You know what occurred to me? That was such the fact that his celebration was a whisper. It made me realize, you know what Oscar's theme song is? And what he's been waiting, you know what this race this weekend was?
Yeah.
Wait till you see my dick. Wait till you see my dick. Hey, bitch. Wait till you see my dick.
I'ma beat that Baku up. Like, yeah.
Like, bam, 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 bam. Beat the Baku up.
Hey, look.
Baku up.
Hey, little Lando, let me whisper in your ear. Tell you something that you like to hear. I'm a number one driver. And my wheels are soft. Wanna touch them and see if they soft?
Like, bam, 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 bam.
I don't even know. I'll throw a dive bomb on Charles Leclerc. It's a 50-50 shot, bitch. I don't care. My name is Oscar Piastri. And listen up, bitch. Just wait till you see my dick.
Dude. If you watch him his onboards drive and you imagine that music playing, it makes all of the sense of the world.
Totally.
He's so low key. I mean, just all of the racing, every time he did something and they cut to his glamour shot, which is him just looking like a young Evan Peters from American Horror Story.
Yep.
I mean, this is a horror movie if you're a Lando Norris fan. Kind of, a little bit.
Well, the writing's been kind of on the wall, but hey, Lando had a good day today. And listen,
hey,
Lando,
still
honestly,
alive.
He could still win this fucking championship. But
Lando coin back up, baby. It's back up.
Well, he could still win this championship. But what today spoke to more than this year, what it spoke to was you might win this year. This might be the year, but the future's mine.
Wait till you see my dick. Wait till you see my dick. Hey, Lando. It was chilling. It was a chilling performance is what it was.
Yeah, it was cold. It was cold-blooded. The kid doesn't falter.
And he doesn't do overtake. He just straight up mugs people. Like it's a mugging. It's
yes.
He catches guys with their pants down.
Yeah.
On the toilet. Whoa, what? He doesn't do the DRS on the straight. He fucking does it at the turn, sends it around where nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition. Nobody expects the Oscar. It's a horror movie. He's jumping out of corners, literally jumping out from behind corners, behind dark alleys, Halloween style. He's Google young Evan Peters. Tell me he doesn't look like Evan Peters from American Horror Story.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. It was a cold-blooded killing today of multiple people. I mean, no one was safe from him. Charles Leclerc caught the wrath. Lando Norris obviously caught the wrath. And then in his wake, Sergio Perez and Carlos Sainz also, got just, hey, smell my fart, boys. I mean, today was crazy. We're going to get into all of it. Before we get into that, we got to thank our daddies of the pod and our honorary daddy every day, but especially today, Nicole Piastri.
Yes.
Listen, there's, the Piastris, there's some Italian roots there, so I wouldn't be surprised if, in qualifying, someone said, hey, yellow flag on Lando's dash, okay? Hey, Mama Piastri's here, okay? Mama Piastri's here. You're gonna do team orders on the weekend where his mother's here? Why don't you throw a little yellow flag during Q1 on Lando Norris there?
Is that where we're starting? We're starting in qualifying, which we did an amazing recap on Patreon. You should like and subscribe. I'm getting smash that subscribe button. No, sign up for the Patreon. But, apparently the move in qualifying is to just lift off a little bit. Just lift a little bit and take a 3 to 5 place grid penalty. And that's your lot in life. Not abort the lap and get knocked out of Q1. And because if he put it on pole or P2 or P3, he could have finished on the podium today.
Yeah, totally.
Starting from 8th, 7th or 8th. Yeah. Instead of where he's 17th. Well, then he got
17th.
And then we didn't actually start 17th.
Well, he started in 15th because Lewis took a engine penalty, I believe, and then Gasly had a fuel thing, so he was disqualified from the quality. So he started in 15th today and made his way to 4th. Hey, it was a good day for McLaren all around. And what's so interesting was that afterwards, I think it's this actually was a situation that Lando's actually more comfortable in when not that much is expected of him. It's like
McLaren from 2 years ago, or it's a nice.
It was kind of a situation of old, and after the race, when he was in the post race interviews and stuff, he was kind of making jokes and being quippy and being kind of cutesy, fun little Lando that people are used to. And I was like, well, what's the difference? And it was people weren't expecting. He over delivered today.
He over delivered. Yeah,
and it's actually kind of. When you have the best car and you're starting in first, there's just delivering. There's actually no more over delivering when you should win the race. That's not over delivering. That's just delivering.
It's Chris Rock. You do what you're supposed to do. That's what you're supposed to do. Yes. And I think that that's such a good point. It's all downhill from there when you have the fastest car and you're in the front.
Right. No, today he was chasing, which is what he likes. He likes to chase, not to be chased.
Mm-hmm. No, he did a great job. He did a great job today. And I think,
but Oscar Piastri likes both.
Oscar Piastri likes both.
Oscar Piastri likes to chase and be chased and do whatever the fuck it takes. I mean, it's also so funny, after the race, it sounded when he was just that was the most stressful day of my life. Thanks guys. Oh my, whoa. I wrote down, it sounded like he just took a shit. And it's the relief after you, when you're on the toilet and you're shaking hand, you're oh, and then as men, it's the closest that will come to childbirth. I'm this is the relief when it passes. And you're wow, it was crazy where I was a mere
Didn't think I'd pull through there.
And it was didn't think I'd pull through. And it's now it's kind of when you're sick and then you're not sick and you can't remember what it's like to be sick, or when you're sick and you can't remember what it's like to be not sick. That was, he can really let it go. And that's kind of what makes him, I think, unique. I think what makes Oscar unique is he can just compartmentalize. He doesn't carry it with him in the way that I think a lot of these other guys do. And that makes him able to actually kind of meet the moment, because he's just meeting the moment. He's not he's not bringing his other shit into it. He's not bringing in his psyche and whatever. And, there's all this, it's when he's in the car and he's doing the thing, he's just can meet the moment. And the moment was presented itself. Hey, if I'm going to win this race, I'm going to have to make an aggressive move on Leclerc. Now's the time to do it. There's the door. It's going to be an aggressive late breaking move, and I'm going for it. And he said it was 50-50 and he did it. And it was it caught everyone sleeping. But from his POV, I think he was this is it. This is the time.
And by the way, his engineer said, okay, bring these tires in slowly. Do not try anything. And Adam Sandlered him. He said, I disagree.
I disagree.
And he just was fuck warming the tires up. I'm going to lunge right now. Because apparently if you go too hard on these tires initially, you're going to screw them up. You got to ease them. You got these tires. For normal people, these tires require foreplay.
That's right.
So they said, Oscar, you need to kiss and caress these tires. And Oscar just went, where do you see my dick? And he just went for it. And then Leclerc, I think Leclerc was like, guys, remember Monza? He's like, they'll do what they did last time.
Right.
He was like, don't worry, I'm not too worried about it. Like, young Oscar's got much to learn. His tires will fall off, and I'll scoop him up later, because he didn't think that Oscar could have afforded to do something so reckless like that.
Right.
And then, of course, at the end, it was Charles Leclerc left panting, and he was almost swallowed up by Perez. And
oh my God, that was
that was almost
crazy.
Yeah, that was the craziest part of the race. It was like, oh my God, Leclerc's going to get fourth all of a sudden. Oh wait,
yes.
Oh, Carlos Sainz is having a go. Perez is having a go. Oh, now they're both dead.
Yeah, I mean, to get into that moment, like that moment, it's interesting because like I think it was a racing incident. I think it was more Perez's fault than it was Sainz's fault. Sainz was like on the right side of the track, and Perez was like in the direct middle, and was kind of like, and Sainz didn't see him. Obviously, he was like, "What the fuck just happened?"
So that's not that absolves Carlos Sainz of responsibility.
Well, I think Carlos Sainz was right on the, I think that he wasn't necessarily moved, like he was right on the wall. You know, it's like on all these turns, it's like you go in and you're like, they're fucking kissing the wall with their tires. So he was like literally on the wall and then moved a little bit to the left, but was certainly still on the right side of the track and then clipped Perez. But I think what ultimately is actually more what was interesting, why he was in that position in the first place was because he let the door open for Perez because he was like, he tried to pull an overtake on Leclerc as well.
Yeah. And Leclerc was like, bitch.
He smelled the blood on Leclerc and it was like, Booby, like, come on. You were barely in this fucking race and now you're going to like want to pull a fast one on Leclerc because he's been like out here desperately trying to win. And you're going to like try to do a double overtake in this moment? Like, bring it in for the team. You are still in the constructors.
Yeah, it was absurd. It was Leclerc and Piastri were in a title fight. There's beating the crap out of each other. And then in the 12th round,
right.
Carlos Sainz tries to jump into the ring with a taser.
Yeah.
Trying to tase Leclerc out.
Right. But because he did that, and he like tried to actually go on the outside of Leclerc, he left the door open for Perez. And then all of a sudden Perez had like a sniff on him, and then they were next to each other, and then it's tight quarters there. My perspective was Carlos tried the overtake on Leclerc, failed. Perez had that good run on the straight, and Carlos Sainz just fucking like he was merging onto a highway, did not see Perez, just was like merging in and just merged into the highway and didn't see him. So in that way, it's more Carlos Sainz's fault. It is Carlos Sainz's fault. But here's my point. Yeah. Perez saw what he was doing. Perez saw him merging. Like when you see a guy moronically merging, like where he shouldn't be merging. Yeah. Yes, technically, when the insurance like reviews the dash cam footage, the other guy is liable, but you're still in a car accident now. Yeah, and you're the one who has you're like ultimately you're also the one who can fucking see what's happening.
Right, but my bigger point is Carlos Sainz has a contract at Williams for the next 2 to 3 years probably. Mm-hmm. Your future is up for grabs.
And this is your one good.
This is your one good race.
This is your one good.
This is your one race.
Yeah.
And definitely what Red Bull doesn't want is another Monaco bill.
Yes.
From you.
Yeah.
And this was your one chance to fucking put a huge hurting on Max Verstappen in terms of like, wait, I am better than Max on certain tracks on my day. I can deliver.
Right.
But actually you can't because On principle, you're just going to get into a fucking crash.
Yeah, I mean, he's racked up the bills this year, and it's brutal because like the year has been, it's all been about how, oh my God, like you're gonna get replaced. Max just has you're nowhere close, and then they kept him literally like for this race and for Singapore, like they kept him around because they're like second half of the year. But really for this race, honestly, they kept him around because of Baku.
And
yeah, like we got Baku, coming up, and you kill it in Baku every time. And he had a great day.
And they in the back of their head, they knew that he might be good in Monaco. He also fucking crashed and was because he won Monaco that one year.
Yeah.
And I think it was one of those situations where it was Carlos Sainz's fault, and Perez is Walter from The Big Lebowski, where he's like, "Am I wrong? Am I wrong?" No, Walter, you're not wrong. You're just an asshole. That's and that's a hill that I die on all the time. It's like, I'm not wrong. I'm just an asshole. And Carlos Sainz is going to go to Williams and get paid millions of dollars, and people are still wondering about you. Right. Whereas if you just maybe if you took fourth, I think in that car, where did Max finish? 6th or 7th? You would look like a hero.
No, he finished 5th, but he would have, if they hadn't. Yes, right. He finished 5th because of the crash.
Yes,
so,
but if you finished 4th
and 7th,
if you finished 4th and Max finished 7th, you look like a hero.
Right.
But
it's the racer.
That's trying to tell these guys to think that way is when they got their blood up. Although you know who has been thinking that way is Max. Max is like, Max is dead. And dude, he's so depressed. He's like Kenny Powers from Eastbound and Down. Like when he's become a substitute teacher, he's just like, I'm just like all you guys, just waiting to die. Like Lando comes up behind him. He's just like waving him through. Just go. I'm not even gonna. He's how depressed. And when it wasn't working out for him in qualifying, and when he's always complaining about the car, and he's not even angry anymore. He's just like, can't feel it. I got no contact with the car. It's just, I used to, it's so much worse. You know when you're afraid your parents are going to yell at you. My parents yell at me all the time.
Right.
But it's worse when they start crying or some shit like that. You're like, oh God, now mate, you're crying.
Yeah.
I've heard, like, just yell at me, call me a piece of shit. Like, what are you doing? Like, you're going to cry now?
Right. No, it's the opposite.
Because I didn't put the vacuum cleaner away.
The opposite of like, love isn't hate, it's apathy. It's like, I'm just, I mean, this is the car. Yeah. Yeah, it's no, I can't turn. But why would anyone care? My brakes are just not working, guys. Yeah. No, they're still not working. No.
So much worse than him being like this.
He's out of there,
sucks.
Dude. He's going to Mercedes. He's gone. Is he going to Aston?
I guess it's like he could go to Aston, but how does that fit into the Project Lance Stroll?
That's true.
They've
got a Lance Stroll sized problem there, I guess. Yeah, I mean, it would be after. Yeah, but whatever. We also did a whole episode about Newey going to Aston. That's also on the Patreon if you want to go listen to that, because there's so much going on. There's just so much content, so many things to discuss. I mean, this race was amazing, and everyone was talking about like Baku sucks. Baku's
the reason we have this podcast.
But like, everyone shut up. Baku fucking rocks.
I think I would have liked it more if I hadn't watched it live at 4 a.m.
Yeah. I mean, the reality is, I don't know. Matt has this is your way of doing it, is that you have to watch it like as it happens for some reason.
No. Actually not.
Venkers, as you know, we have teamed up with BetMGM this season, and we are using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks. And if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code DADDY and you will get up to $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. Here is how it works. You download the BetMGM app and you sign up using the bonus code DADDY 'Cause we're fun, deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game. You'll receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your bet loses. Just make sure that you use the bonus code DADDY when you sign up. Don't forget, if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code DADDY and get your first $1,500 first bet offer today. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 and over. U.S. promotional offers not available in New York, Nevada, Ontario, or Puerto Rico. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Available in the U.S. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY for New York. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP for Arizona. 1-800-327-5050 for Massachusetts. 1-800-BETS-OFF for Indiana. 1-800-981-0023 for Puerto Rico. First bet offer for new customers only. Subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards are non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 7 days. In partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Don't forget, if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code DADDY and get your $1,500 first bet offer today. Now back to the show.
I usually don't watch it live, but we had a production call with Gunther Steiner,
Right.
that I had to be up early for. So I was like, fuck, I don't like it being ruined. So,
Right. Sure.
so not to name drop, but Gunther wanted to talk right after the race. So I was like, I don't want to like talk to Gunther after the race, not having watched the race. I don't want you guys kikiing about it, which you guys did. Being like, oh, you got to talk to Oscar after he won, and I just didn't want that situation. I don't want it to be like Gunther spoilers.
Gunther, shut up! I haven't watched yet.
I haven't watched
because also
yet.
you know he'd give you shit. He'd be like,
You haven't watched, Matthew? Come on, what are you doing? I flew to Baku. I'm here.
So once that production meeting was scheduled, I was like, I'm not having Gunther Steiner spoil this race for me. I'm waking up at 4.
And was it? I mean, it was a good one. It was a good
one
for all things considered. For what it, for waking up at 4 a.m. to watch a race, not pretty fucking good. Everyone needs to shut up with the street track and the Baku hate.
Yes, it was.
Baku's
a great
like
race.
honestly my second. It's like my second favorite track.
I love the
Monza,
castle.
Baku rocks. I know. I don't get the Baku. I mean, it's like Lewis leaving the Magic on, Max's tire blowing out, Max and Daniel's fucking collision. Leclerc always getting pole, never converting it to a win. I mean,
It's also
everyone's talking a bunch of shit about Lando Norris not being able to convert from pole. Charles Leclerc, a 5-time pole sitter at fucking Baku, 0-time winner. The kid can't convert, and this looked like it was going to be his day. Like today, it looked like it was going to be his day. He got that big lead, the medium tires, but then switched to the hard, and then what Charles said after the race was like, oh, like the second I put on the hards, I knew I wasn't going to get him. And I was like,
seems like a coping mechanism.
Bit of a coping mechanism. Also, you were ahead of him.
You were ahead of the race. He lost so much time on that cool down because he was he had 6 seconds on Oscar with the mediums when he pitted.
Yeah.
And then you're like, and then suddenly Oscar's 1 to 2 seconds behind.
Yeah.
Because Leclerc had to
get his tires.
Those tires were not feeling Leclerc, and Leclerc had to go down on those tires for like 20 minutes. Whereas Oscar just went straight to fucking penetration.
After George Russell was saying something that didn't quite like compute to me. He was talking about how like he's like, how can there be such a difference between one tire to the next? Like, he was basically like on the mediums, we were nowhere. And then on the hards, like we had it. He's like, how can there be such a difference? And he was like, I think that the people that make the tires don't even understand what's happening with these tires. And like, it needs to be looked at.
Yeah, but that happens all the time. It's not
right. Which is what he said. I think even the people who make the tires don't understand the tires. I think we all probably need a serious conversation again about what's going on, because we got 2,000 people working their butts off to deliver us the fastest car. 20 laps of the race, we had a car that was comfortable fighting for victory. 20 other laps, we had a car that probably shouldn't have been in the points. And the only difference is the tires. And that's not good enough, really. And I'm like, that's the car.
That's the game.
That's what this is
setting the car up to agree with it. So Ferrari set the car up to agree with the medium tires.
Right.
So they were looking good.
Right.
McLaren had the car set up better for the hard tires. And it's also about sort of practice allocations. I don't think Leclerc had a crash. I don't think he did enough running.
Get a long run.
He didn't get a long run in on enough. I don't think they had that car hooked up properly to accommodate those tires where McLaren did.
Right.
So that's just saying like, I can't think of a proper metaphor here, but it's just like,
Yeah.
this history class is really contingent on reading all the books. It's like hard, it's like, but I will say this. That metaphor sucked, but I will say this, and this is good.
Yeah.
This backs up George's point. We did see a woman that worked for Pirelli. They had the tires out.
Yep.
These Italian, by the way, the Pirelli people, we were in there, nobody would have us. Pirelli had us. We were in their garage. Right. We were in their hospitality suite. Lovely people, all Italian, great food. But I will say we were watching the Pirelli people like fuck with the tires. And they had some calipers and some gauges, and they had some like official looking things, and they were scraping the tires and heating the tires, and we were watching them do their little Dexter's laboratory thing. But I swear to God.
Yep. We both saw it.
I saw it. I saw a woman take her finger, stick it in the hot tire that was like, they heated it. So it was like gooey. She touched it and then she licked her finger. And I went, oh my God. I looked at Brian. I said, please tell me. And then Brian was like, I saw that. And Brian goes to the person giving us the tour at VCarb.
Yeah.
Brian, he was like, the guy was like, so yeah, this is what they do with the tires. They heat them, then they scrape and they heat and they scrape and they gather the data. And then Brian was just like, that woman just licked the tire. And he goes, and then the guy just gaslit us. He goes, there is no way that Pirelli engineer licked the tire.
I said, well, she licked her finger that was on the hot tire. So,
So that
5-second
that speaks to them maybe not knowing what the fuck they're doing a little bit. They're like, well, let's try the taste test.
Or I think that woman needs to be running the whole fucking thing because she is the only person who really understands. She understands the tires.
No, but that shows that it's more of an art than a science.
Yeah, sure.
They say that cooking is like baking is a science. Cooking is an art.
Cooking is an art. That's right.
Where it's like baking, it's like every measurement needs to be right. Whereas cooking is like you stick your finger in, you put it in your mouth, and you're like, a little more sugar, a little more salt, whatever. Right. So I think she was maybe treating it like a puttanesca sauce or something like that.
Yeah, that's right.
Not to be prejudiced towards Italians, but maybe
Salt,
she was treating
fat, acid, heat, dude.
I mean, speaking of not being happy on Mercedes, I mean, Lewis was nominated for Karen of the Day. Where they were like, Lewis,
guys, you seen how I have to drive this hunk of junk? You see how I have to drive this thing? You see what I have to do? You see how I have to drive this thing? See what position you put me in to drive this thing, guys?
You see what happens, Toto, when you give me a piece of shit car? Do you see what happens? Another Big Lebowski reference. But yeah, and then they were like, hey, Lewis, can you try to warm these tires up? Try these. He's like, I'm trying.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Shut the fuck up.
Shut up, Dad. Trying.
No, but apparently, I guess we do Karen of the Day now. He's nominated for Karen of the Day, but apparently, this is alternate Karen of the Day behavior. Lando Norris, Karen of the Day. So Max was behind Lando at the flag, drives by Lando to wave to his friend. Hi, Lando. Hi, drives by, and then Lando goes, yeah, you overtook me under virtual safety car.
Still a VSC, right, guys? Still a VSC, right?
Yeah, that's a 20-place grid penalty, if I'm not mistaken.
In Singapore, right, guys? Right? Seriously?
It's really dangerous. Did you see how I lifted off on the yellow? Like, I mean, I'm really all about safety.
Yeah, that's
the most innocent, nice thing Max has ever done in his life, and he gets fucking punished for it. Max is like, I had this shit race. Lando and I are in this stupid title fight, but you know what? I just want to say hi to my friend.
And they took the plane. They took the plane there together. Trying to quell the rumors that the friendship is suffering. But then after the race, he's overtaking me, guys. I'm just stating the facts during a VSC. It's also one of these things where it's like, it's like they understand, like there's places everyone knows where the crash happened. Like, this is where the crash happened. This is where the virtual safety car, like the reason for the safety, it's like, I have to be really safe at this area, this time of the track.
Yes.
And there's an understanding of like, you understand the spirit of the rule. It's like, oh yeah, we're being safe. Well, it doesn't really matter at this area of the track. It matters
after the race is over too.
Right.
Well,
you still have to be safe. I mean, it's like you need to be safe because there's people on the there's still a desire for safety at that point of the thing. But like in certain areas of the track, you need to be like conscious of where shit is going on. Man, it was like, you overtook me. To call it overtaking is funny too, because the race was over.
With one hand off the wheel, waving.
What was so crazy about that moment when that crash happened, because Max had just dived into the pit, and there was just like a part of me that was like, oh my God, like what if, oh shit, what if like he has to come out and he's slower? In my mind, now I realize that he was just going to hold the position. That's why they pitted him in the first place. But in my mind, I was like, oh my God, what if he got fucked because he did this right before?
Well, he fucked Max out of the fastest lap is what he did.
Yeah, well, he was going in to get the fastest lap. Yeah, he had softs on. So what's he going to do? Not overtake you with softs on after the race? Come on. He's never got to use those suckers.
Fucking Perez, dude.
Perez.
That is torture porn. To be on top of Max like that all weekend, and then in the last lap, or the last couple laps, just throw it away like that.
Yeah. Though, I mean, there's this time. What does today say about this title fight that we got going on? Because, I mean, obviously we knew Red Bulls are just done. They're just a mess. They're a mess. I mean, even today it was like Perez this is like a specialty track for Perez. So he was able to like have a decent showing today. But like the state of the Red Bull team is just like brutal. Lando starting in 15th and overtaking Max with 3 laps to go.
Verstappen couldn't get by fucking Albon.
Yeah, but it's like a squirrely, like at that point, it actually, I feel like didn't matter that much even at that point, because it was like they were going long anyway. How much more time was he going to make up? He was able to put in like the laps in clean air, like at the end of his stint. So I don't think that actually mattered that much. And I think it's like the Williams did the squirrely kind of like thing where they're like, we're just going to set our car up for like to be fast as shit on the straights.
Yeah, but that's Red Bull's thing, like having DRS, being fast on the straight. I don't know. Yeah, I want to see them. I want to see them on a. Don't you want to see them one more time on a proper circuit?
Red Bull.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
before you pronounce them fucking dead,
they'll be bad in Singapore,
right?
The US the race in Austin will be.
That'll be a good bellwether to see how dead they are.
They're dead in terms of the constructors, though, for this year. That's done and dusted. And now also, it seemed like Ferrari had their option there too, but then with like today was a bad day in terms of that point differential as well. And it seems like McLaren continues to be strong everywhere.
But look, we got United States. They might be good. Mexico, they might be good. Brazil, they might be good. Vegas, I don't think they'll be good. Qatar, who knows?
Vegas is a similar track to Baku.
That's what I'm saying.
Vegas and Baku are similar. Yeah.
Yeah. So but in terms of the drivers' championship, if Max finishes like P3 in Mexico, Brazil, then you could kind of. If he gets a podium. What
was also kind of like there was the fact that Max, because like if Oscar had won that race today and Lando and Max had gotten 6th and 7th, which is what it looked like it was going to be, then all of a sudden that point differential goes down, and then it's like comes even more of a play of like, well, if Oscar wins like if Oscar wins out, if Oscar wins the remainder of these races, which like could be possible, it could be possible that the McLarens are 1-2 and Oscar could have that edge. That like if they're like these papaya rules, what are they going to do?
That's the better question. What are they going to do in Singapore?
What they said was like these next couple races, we're going to give Lando the preferential treatment. It's 50-50 toss, you know, the 50-50 decision. The decisions are going to go to Lando.
We talked about this in the Patreon.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about it now. So now you owe us $5, but right. All of you. But it's weird because I think they started. So they made this big showing like, okay, here it comes, guys. Team orders.
Yeah.
Lando's our guy. Isn't that fun when they have to think about it for a long time before deciding? Yeah, Lando's our guy. We thought about it for like 6 months, and now we've decided, Lando, we're going to back you.
Yeah.
We tossed and turned. We tossed and turned about giving you our support, and we've decided we love you unconditionally. And I think what they thought is they were like, fuck, you know, I think their original calculus was they didn't want to back Lando at the expense of Oscar for something they didn't think he could win.
Right.
But then there was so much public pressure and you know, enough people were complaining about it because they didn't want to be in a position to back Lando, alienate Oscar, and then it be for naught.
Right.
Like, if you're going to cheat on your girlfriend, like make sure if you're going to attempt to cheat on your girlfriend, we said this on the Patreon. If you're going to attempt to cheat on your partner, make sure you actually successfully cheat. Right. Don't like shoot your shot in the DMs and get rejected because that's the same thing. You tried to be unfaithful and you failed.
Right.
So if you're going to be unfaithful in Oscar's eyes, you better fucking succeed.
Right.
And they didn't want to be in a position where they were unfaithful for nothing. And I think this thing reached a fever pitch and they were like, okay, we're ready to be unfaithful. But they're in a kind of
but they were caught in like, okay, well then we're actually in our attempts to not do this, we're going to lose the other. It's like they're in the no-win situation.
You're right.
Like,
because to Lando, it's like, well, you're being unfaithful to me. Right.
Literally.
But wouldn't you argue, Brian, that like the no decision is probably, you end up just irritating both of them a little bit instead of pissing one of them off a lot? That's probably what they're thinking. Like, we're just a race team. We're just a race team. We're fair, egalitarian. That's like, in their mind, they're thinking, well, we'd rather piss Lando off a little bit than piss Oscar off a lot.
Right. Venkers, this collaboration is brought to you by CBDMD. Millions of people experience burnout daily, leading to stress, anxiety, and sleepless nights. CBDMD offers a diverse range of products specifically designed to support your sleep, focus, and recovery, providing the perfect solution to combat daily stressors. With CBDMD, you can unwind, relax, and get a restful sleep that you need. Crafted from USA-grown hemp and rigorously third-party tested for quality and safety, CBDMD offers high-quality CBD and THC products that seamlessly fit into your daily routine. Whether you need to take the edge off a long week or enhance your overall well-being, CBDMD has the right solution for you. Visit cbdmd.com to explore their full range of products, expertly formulated to help you feel your best. And as always, you can use the promo code FRIDAY for 30% off plus free shipping at CBDMD. Committed to transparency, CBDMD conducts rigorous third-party lab testing on all its products. Each product is accompanied by a certificate of analysis on their website that verifies its potency and ensures it is free from contaminants such as pesticides, heavy metals, and molds. Visit cbdmd.com to explore their extensive range of products and find your perfect solution to your needs. Don't forget to use the code FRIDAY at checkout for 30% off plus free shipping. But then they were starting to piss Lando off a lot. And then they were like, oh, fuck, Oscar, come on. This won't piss you off that much, right? And honestly, Oscar's like, I mean, I think Oscar doesn't necessarily get that riled up either way. I think he backs himself. I think Mark Webber is in the corner like, you better not. Apparently Mark Webber was like going around the paddock and being like, bad on his tires, huh? Like,
get my son's name out your fucking mouth.
Laura Winters afterwards was like, oh yeah, Mark Webber like came up to me and was like, so yeah,
bad on his tires, right? Can't keep his tires going, huh? Right, Laura? Yeah. Like he's literally like walking around,
slaps the mic out of her hand. Nerd,
nerd. That's my son. He's like, he has the fucking like burn book. It's what everyone said about my fucking son, Oscar. Now he's going around being like, oh really? Can't keep his tires going, huh? Martin Brundle.
Do you like apples?
Yeah, literally. How you like? Fucking kept his cards going longer than Leclerc. How do you like them apples? I'm fucking Mark Webber. Suck my dick. Like,
God.
honestly,
the vicarious
Mark
thrills
Webber,
he's getting.
Yes,
from this.
Mark Webber
from this.
is Mark Webber is Obama's anger translator for Oscar. It's that sketch. Where like Oscar says this, and Mark's like, "Yeah, sucker, yeah." How you like me now, Lando? How you like me now? Oscar's just like this sweet puppy dog, and then he's the fucking Rottweiler behind him, barking at everyone.
Yeah.
He's the shit, dude. We got to get him on the pod.
Yeah, but he was pretty circumscribed on that last podcast. He was like, well, it's an interesting situation that they've got themselves in.
Yeah, well, we'll see. After, once the year's done, once this shit is in the wash, then we get him on. Because obviously right now he can't really talk about it. He can't say what he wants to say. Because what he wants to say is...
He was like,
after that Red Bull... That's what he wants to say.
Sebastian Vettel, Lando Norris can suck my dick. Yeah. Sorry, I meant Lando Norris. I meant Lando Norris.
What's so special about this hairless Sebastian Lando Norris? What's so fucking great about him? There's an Australian who's ready to fucking take it.
Yeah. Yeah. He's incredible. Yeah, he's giving my parents energy. I have a mentor who when I talk to who I say, why are my parents doing this? Like, what do you think they're thinking? I'm always trying to get behind. Like, what is the thinking behind this move that my parents are doing?
Yeah.
And my old professor who I talk to, who knows my parents, he goes, and this is true. He'll just say this. He goes, they saved every rejection letter that you ever got from all your preschools. That's true.
Yeah.
My parents have all of my rejection letters from all the preschools. And my dad showed them to me when I was 8. He's like, you see all these? One day they're going to regret it.
Yeah.
One day I'm going to mail these all back to them.
Right.
And I'm thinking about it now. How fucking insane that is?
That's
nobody
crazy.
Who rejected me when I was 4 is maybe even alive now.
Right.
Think about, even if I became president of the United States, do you think anybody is going to remember that they rejected me from preschool?
Right. But also but then it's then all the pressure was on you to it's like, hey, Matt, you better do good because I want revenge on the people that were mean to you.
But when I was 15, I was like, that doesn't even make the time horizon doesn't line up. I realized it. I was like,
right.
We can't even I can't even satisfy that wish unless I became Haley Joel Osment. I couldn't.
Right.
I would have to succeed very quickly. The point is they're elephants and they don't forget shit.
Right.
And I would say, oh, I'm getting lunch with so-and-so. Remember so-and-so from elementary school? It's like, didn't they lend you $5 and then charge you interest or something? And I was like, whoa. Whoa. He let me $2 or something. And then I was late on a payment and he charged me, as my dad would call, a usurious amount of interest. It's against the law. It's an illegal amount of interest.
What did he want? $3 back?
Yeah, something crazy, something insane. He's like, well,
that's just good business, man. That's just good business. Yeah, that's Mark Webber.
Yeah.
It is so funny to think of that these things that happened in these traumas, this thing that's like a meme on the internet. It's like this guy's been living with that. And now Oscar is the mule with which he will right the wrongs of the past. It's so intense.
We get to watch it. We get to watch, multi generations, no pun intended, of insecurities and egos play out. We get to see
Right.
see egos play out over generations, and we get to see
Yeah.
people serve as proxies for other people's insecurities.
Right.
And
I mean, think about Max Verstappen is that.
Max Verstappen is literally that. I just
Max's
watched.
dad was Michael Schumacher's teammate.
Yes,
Was a mid F1 driver. Didn't have the stuff.
never lived up to his potential.
Never lived up to the potential, and was like, I will put it all on my son, and my son will be the fucking GOAT. And then did that. Now he's dominant. It's like these generations of fucking. It's like, whoa, this is.
I also just watched, I went to a play that our friend was in. It's like an adaptation of Cyrano de Bergerac, and I found it like so, I found it's like such a brilliant play.
Yeah.
And it's about a guy who's like deeply insecure
Yeah.
that uses another guy to channel all of his aspirations into.
Right.
Cause he can't do it himself. Cause he's got a freakishly large nose.
Yeah.
But in this adaptation, they talk about his nose, but they didn't use a big nose.
Yeah.
They talk his freakish nose. He walks out. He's a normal looking guy. And I think that was so the audience could project whatever flaw, whatever insecurity they have, that you could project it onto Cyrano. And it's like, we all have a freakish nose in one way or another.
Yeah.
We all have something that's haunting us, that we're insecure about, that we use other people, that we play out through other mediums. And I think, watching these older men play out their sort of insecurities, their insecurities through younger men younger, more attractive men, Cyrano de Bergerac style is really interesting.
Mark Webber was,
Well, Mark Webber
didn't have nothing. Well, but he walks weird. We saw that. But I'm wrestling with this year. I'm wrestling with this shit because I am a Lando fan, and like I just don't know how to feel about what's going on. I'm upset about like what's happening to him, and I just don't
elaborate. Okay, but what is happening to him?
Nothing's happening. It's not necessarily happening to him.
Okay. A little.
I'm just like, it's a little bit.
I would say it is there's a pie. And we can argue about what pie is him, like what he's doing to himself, what pie is McLaren doing him, what pie is bad luck, I guess.
I think it's a combination of things, but I think it is like when I think about his story, like there's a part of me that is upset that like it came to this 50-50 thing. And like, and what's also crazy is like, I like Oscar a lot. I love Oscar. And Oscar, I think I want to get into like how does Oscar the perfect foil for Lando? Cause I think there is like a kind of perfect foil there, but we'll get to that after this. Like, it's just like, it upsets me. Like, I think it was upsetting me for a while that like they weren't prioritizing him, given like how much like he had options to go other places and that like he stayed loyal and he cares about the team. And like Zach did so much, like we started together and I helped you. I bought your first single seater and like, we're doing this together. Like it's us, babe. Like we're doing it. And now it's like, and then it was like time to like help him. And they were like, new phone, who dis? And I really felt like this is like upsetting. Like this is upsetting.
It is upsetting when you lay it all out in that way. It is very upsetting. It
was like upsetting and like, and even though like Oscar, I think Oscar's amazing and great, but it's like, it is his second year and he was like not in the position. And like, this is like, and I think he might be like ultimately like the champion of the future. I think he ultimately maybe is, but I'm like, okay, but then if this is Lando's like year to get it done and you're like not actually doing like everything that you can to help that happen, that's upsetting to me. Now we're further in the thing and there's been other things that have happened. But what upset me today was the, like, when they said to Lando, like, think of Andrea on your shoulder saying, let me write down exactly what they said. When they were like, put in the fastest laps, like put in quick laps. I think it was to catch Max.
Yeah.
They said, imagine Andrea on your shoulder saying zero wheel spin every exit. And if I'm Lando, I say, hey, why don't you shut the fuck up? Why don't you fuck off?
Vankas, this episode is brought to you by Ricky Canned Cocktails. It's a premium spirit-based drink, 7% alcohol in a can, 1.5 shots per can. It's the perfect drink for this summer because it has been hot. And when it's hot, you need something refreshing. And that's why I've been drinking a bunch of the Ricky Canned Cocktails. I've been loving the vodka with a splash of black cherry. I'm not usually a big vodka guy, but this one, it just tastes right. Also, if you like more tequila, they also have a tequila with a splash of lime. Super good, super refreshing, and at 7%, it's that perfect sweet spot where you're not going to get too buzzed, but you don't have to drink a bunch of them to feel anything. So that's why you gotta get some Ricky this summer. And you can check them out at rickyspirits.com. And if Ricky isn't available in your area, hit request Ricky. It's 3 simple ingredients, low calorie, no added sugar, not overly carbonated. It's an award-winning vodka tequila. You can taste the high quality in spirits with a splash of fruit and sparkling water. Go get Ricky today. It's like High Noon, but better, less sweet, and more alcohol per can.
Enough with the emotional manipulation. After the fucking, you're gonna need, like, if I'm Lando, I'm looking around at this team and I'm thinking, like, I need to get the fuck out of here. Like, they don't fuck with me, actually. And like Andrea, because Andrea's this god to me that I gotta do it for Andrea. I'm like, Andrea doesn't fuck with him. I'm like,
wait, so you were that's so interesting. It struck me as a little bizarre when he said it.
Yeah.
And I think it was Alex Jakes. I don't know who. So one of the commentators, all you British motherfuckers sound the same to me, okay?
Right.
One of the British motherfuckers was saying, it's funny, why didn't they say that in Hungary? Why didn't they invoke that little piece of like humanizing? Now, I guess the question is, in your mind, they're like reading, it's almost like Silence of the Lambs, and they've like read Lando's psychological profile. And they're like, he responds well to personal connections. Use this to motivate him. And it feels disingenuous, basically like we're going to use our personal connection with him that is ultimately disposable to us, but we know is valuable to him.
That is like kind of a one-way fucking street, because today, after this weekend, that was like, we're doing team orders for Lando. Lando held up Perez and was the good teammate and did the shit. And like, listen, there wasn't a world where they were going to do anything. Like, Oscar was in no position to help Lando today, but Lando was in the position to help Oscar. But then they kind of have this, like, we're a team and it's all family and it's all love. And if I'm Lando Norris, I'm thinking like, this is like, it's disingenuous. This, like, it's all fucking love and it's the team first. And then I'm like, this is an individual sport filled with fucking little narcissists who ride around in their little cars. It's like the team aspect of it that they like pull on his heartstrings and they like manipulate. I'm feeling like my back's against the wall as a Lando fan. I'm like, he's looking like he's coming up to the fucking brick wall of Oscar Piastri and some of his limitations. And then when the team is like, come on, man, like, but through the power of us, we can accomplish anything. I would say, no, actually, go fuck yourself. I would say, go fuck yourself. I'm going to go to Red Bull because Max is going to leave. Let me go to fucking Red Bull, where like they have no problem, compromising someone's shit. If they rate me as they said that they have now, who knows if they will still after this year, because his stock will, I think people are maybe getting the ick for him. But like, if that option's available to him, and they're like, yeah, like we wouldn't do that to you here, then if I'm him, I'm getting the fuck out.
No,
I'm getting out.
You want to go to a place where they actually put it on paper that you're the number one driver, not giving you like belly rubs and taking you to the golf course or
right.
I think, I think I totally agree with you. I totally agree that it would be triggering to be sort of that they see Lando's heart as like a tool. It's just a button that they're pressing to get the output that they need.
Yes.
No, that's tough. That's tough. I totally understand it. There is an ick factor there for sure.
And I think that he's like a sensitive kid. I think that he's like, he could be a little shit sometimes, but I think he's like, he like wants everyone to like, he has like, I want to be liked by everyone syndrome. I want to like,
let's turn this into let's turn this into a therapy session for a second.
Yeah. Yeah.
You are identifying.
I identify with Lando.
So do you think that people in your life manipulate? Do you feel like you've been manipulated in your life in this way by people who are like, who like invoke, like Brian, like I'm invoking our friendship to get but it's not because I care about you. It's because I want to get something from you. Like, do you have people in your life that do that? That emotionally manipulate you like that in your life, and that's like triggering for you?
I don't think I've necessarily experienced much of that, but I do think that like when you make emotional promises, then you better keep them. And if people make if you say like we value you, and like if you say all this shit and then like, your true colors start to show and it's not there, then I'm like, it's not even a situation of like confronting. I'm like, I'm getting the fuck out of that situation. And I feel uncomfortable for him still being in it and them using that. I think like he's in a tough spot, but I just feel like I value in my life and in time, like I'm a gatherer. Like in my college group, like I kind of keep up with the most amount of people from my college. Like I kind of have like a tentacle on everyone. So a lot of people will come up to me like, oh, how's this person doing? And I'm like, oh, like they're good. I saw them a month ago. How's this person? And then they'll ask me, how's that person doing? And I'm like, I saw that. I'm in New York. There's a New York faction of my college crew. There's an LA faction. And like, it's important to me, the fabric of that. And then when people like fuck with it, or if there's a group and people like when someone fucked with, when someone said something rude to you when we were in, Austin that one year.
Oh my God.
I was like, yeah, I fucking, I saw red and I went in there because like I value the like group dynamic. And I just see how like, I think that Lando values the group dynamic. I think that Lando values the dynamic of like McLaren, and I believe in it. And I think that they are missing.
Well, you're from the outside. You're watching him you see like a lamb to slaughter a little bit.
Yes.
And you're seeing it, and maybe because he's in the,
and he thinks,
he
still thinks that he's like, no, like we're all going to have dinner tonight. He doesn't realize that like they're fattening him up to fucking eat his ass. Like that's kind of what's happening. Here's
the problem though, I think. And I, to take McLaren's side for a second, just for a second.
Yeah, sure.
I don't actually feel that like, but I think Zach really does love Lando. I think Zach really did put a lot of emotional investment in him and financial investment in him.
Right. Yeah.
But how do you, when you weigh your emotional investment up against like just the brutal realities of the sport, where like, is Zach supposed to go to the Prince of Bahrain and go, but he's my guy, like if there's sort of this overarching decision that, who knows? I don't know, but maybe they're looking at just fucking data. They're looking, okay, this is where Oscar was. This is where Oscar is now. This is where Lando was at the same amount of race mileage. And they're looking at a graph and they've just made a decision.
But I think that's the danger though, when you bring that human element into like this type of environment that is fucking.
But I don't think it was malicious. I don't think malicious.
I don't think it's necessarily malicious, but I think that like sometimes people can like get excited by the moment and make a promise, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah,
just love bomb somebody.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's love bombing. It is. It's just and like
swept up in the night, and you make all kinds of promises to get them to come home with you and commit to you.
And what's interesting about Oscar and what's interesting about this whole situation is like I think that Oscar is a lot less susceptible to that shit. Because of like everything that we know about him. He's like, oh, like he's like, his mom is like, all I want to do is, I just love you. And he's like, okay. You know, like, yeah, I love you. Hey, I love you too. Like, he loves him too, but you know, he's not the like golden retriever. Oh, like, yes, let's snuggle, mummy. You know what I mean? Like, that's not who Oscar is.
No,
And
he left home at a young age because he's from Australia. He had to leave to go to the premier. He had to go to England to move up the ladder. And
he was kind of, from what, you know, Nicole said, he was kind of built this way. Like, he's always kind of been built this way.
Independent. He wanted to walk to school by himself. Yes. He's like, I know the way. And then she's like, you're 5. Someone could just take you. And he goes, you got to walk behind me, though. You have to walk. Right. Because he's fiercely independent.
Whereas what I imagine Lando did was like, Mommy, Daddy, let's walk to school together. like, and then they were like, Lando, you know, you gotta like go on your own. He's like, okay, I guess I will.
By the way, there's nothing wrong with this is what's the problem is. There's nothing wrong with that quality that Lando has. But in this business, because it is a business, it's potentially fatal.
Yes.
And I guess here's the problem. Here's the problem, Brian. What you wanted so badly is you wanted love to conquer all in this scenario for yourself, you wanted to believe that Lando's sort of merry way of doing things. Yes. Lando's what's the word? You gave it in the wedding speech to JG. What's the word? There's the people that isolate, and there's the, I don't know why I've lose the word.
Extrovert?
That the extroverts of the world, the people that thrive on human connection.
Yes.
That the extroverts, the people that really value their interpersonal relationships and put a high premium on their connections could actually succeed in this fucking viper pit.
Yeah, and that like, despite his flaws, that like that they would like,
but they're not even flaws.
Well, but
they might be flaws in this context.
But not his flaws like about trusting people. I'm talking about like some of his like race stuff that like like he, you know, like that despite that some of his, you know, whatever is not at 100 on his chart, that like, hey, we'll be there to help and bring that stuff in, and we'll all, you know, we'll get you across the finish line, and like that's what we're here to do. Like, in my mind, I was hoping that like that was going to be the case, and despite the fact that I think that Oscar is like a more complete racer than Lando, that like, given the situation and whatever, that like they would all kind of participate and go. And this is my Delulu, because I'm obviously I'm emotionally invested in this thing. Right. So fucking that's what's going on here. But then you're right. There's a degree of like these things always were with fucking grains of salt. This is a fucking cutthroat business. And what's actually interesting, going back to us and our relationship, and actually sometimes with you, and in a way that I think that you're actually maybe similar to Lando, is that like, I take every business thing as like, yeah, we'll see. And I think you kind of feel like whenever there's a business thing, you're like, but they said it was, you actually have like a higher estimation for like people. I'm actually a bit more.
You and I flip flop because sometimes you're homicidally angry and I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, they fucked us. And then sometimes I'm homicidally angry and you're like, I don't know what like you and I switch.
I feel like, but it's more often the case that like there's like something that when it comes to like a business side of thing that you're like really upset about, like someone maybe like not fulfilling on something that they said that they would do. You sometimes like, I'm actually, despite what you would think with this podcast, I am in certain ways, in certain aspects of our life, more of a pessimist than you. And in which case I go in being like, yeah, like they might be fucking lying.
So then why are you so triggered by this Lando thing then?
Because it felt, cause I was like cause in my mind, I was like, I wasn't viewing this as fucking business. Like Lando's Zach's son. Like, remember we would say that like a couple years ago? We're like, Lando is Zach's son, dude. Like, it's his fucking son. Like, he would fucking kill for this. And like, with the Ricardo situation, and then when that whole situation happened, they were like, oh yeah, you shouldn't have trusted. Remember that clip from DTS? But at the end of the day, it is a fucking business. But I got like kind of swept up in the like the family familia dynamic.
And you got lost in Lando's eyes and pouty lips, and you're forgetting that McLaren, the way they treat some of their drivers is, in the IndyCar space, and the way they're fucking playing musical chairs. It's a fucking business, man.
Yeah.
Ask Teo Porcher or David Malukas or
they don't give a they it's like I have to like put them in a different category.
No, Pato is Exxon though, right? Pato's safe. No,
I have to put them in a different category in my brain. I think like the category that McLaren actually sits in is like they're fucking ruthless, which is like honestly that's sick.
But I don't think it's McLaren. I mean, ask Daniel Ricciardo.
Yeah,
Daniel Ricciardo was golden. People make a lot of comparisons. People are now, it sucks, but people, there are rumblings. They're like, remember how good Daniel Ricciardo was? Maybe that's Lando Norris.
Right.
Like,
no, he might be on that Daniel Ricciardo path. Like, it might be this might be the 2018, like, Daniel Ricciardo moment.
Yeah. So,
and then he goes down a thing and it's Lando Norris multi-race winner, not Lando Norris world champion.
But Daniel Ricciardo was that bitch. Everyone was like, he is that guy. He did to Vettel what Lando Norris did to fucking him.
Totally.
He ran Vettel out of fucking Red Bull on a rail. Lando ran him out. It's like there's some like parallels there. And I think that Daniel was a great driver. Yeah. Excellent. But they found a guy that was they thought was a little bit better in Max Verstappen. And then they just slit Daniel's throat. Even though Helmut did the same thing.
Right.
He found Daniel when he was 15, or I remember Scotty James was like, he was a Red Bull kid. I met him when he was a child.
Yeah.
I remember him. We grew up together. Like,
God, this sport is so brutal. It's
Helmut
so brutal.
Found Daniel in fucking Perth or wherever the fuck he lived and brought him up from a young child. Like, brought him up.
I feel like ill. Now I'm thinking about Daniel and I feel ill. And now he's like, and he's bad.
So I don't think
this is just a space. This is just like Formula One is for killers. It's for killers.
By the way, and flip it on its head, right? Look at Oscar Piastri. He did the other way. They brought Oscar up from a child, Alpine, Renault, and then he fucking slit their throat because they were playing with him.
Well, they were slitting his throat. They were betraying him. So then he was like, "Well, fuck."
But he didn't get swept up in the like. Right. But we brought you up. Think about all he didn't buy the emotional manipulation, of like. But Oscar, we put you through F2, F3. We gave you your shot. But as they had their knife behind their back, ready to slit his throat as they were saying the nice things. He just fucking slit their throat first.
Right.
So, I mean,
because he's cold motherfucking.
And by the way,
the dude is cold blooded.
And by the way, I think, and this is to drill down even further on this. That was honestly a positive experience for Oscar at the end of the day, this Alpine experience. Not just because he went to a better team and is getting to compare himself with the likes of Lando Norris, but that was a positive experience for him because it showed him what this business really was.
Yes.
And he's got no fucking illusions. And as many hugs as Zach gives him, as many times as Andrea Stella puts his arm around him, like, it's a fucking business.
Yeah.
And he learned that like fucking before day one. He learned that.
Yes.
And he's not going to get fucking swept up. Even if he was a bit like whatever little smidge of him that was sentimental, is gone. Was gone. He learned it fucking early. Like That's why it's good. It's good to get your heart fucking broken early in high school. Like get it over with.
I know.
Get it over with.
Like,
I mean, we had a friend who got his heart broken when he was like 28.
Yeah, right.
And I was just like, Jesus, dude, come on. Like this isn't new.
Right.
This just feels like it's new to you. I don't understand. Like everybody should get their heart broken, and everybody should date a crazy person as quickly as possible.
I know. I'm getting like emotional. Now I'm thinking about like Leclerc, and I'm like,
oh. dude, don't. Now you're really going to depress me.
Talk about someone who is like, if and when that Ferrari, if and when that switch happens.
I mean, it will happen. They will slit his throat at some point, whether it's with Lewis or it's 10 years from now, it will happen.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's just interesting. Like with other teams, like in other sports, sometimes it's like they give the guy who did there's a bit more of that like long. And honestly, Lewis learned that when Mercedes was like, we're giving you a 1-year deal. Like we're not doing 2 years. Like, and now Lewis is like a grown man. It was like, all right, well, fuck you guys. And now he's like sailing off into $500 million into the distance. But like when, at the end of Kobe's time at the Lakers, they were like, we're just keeping Kobe.
That's true.
And well, you know what I mean? Like other sports teams, sometimes like there is like a bit more of like, like you're past your prime, but whatever, we're giving you the thing because but this is just, it's more cutthroat than any other fucking sports. All right, let's get into our awards. Hottest moment of the day.
I mean, it was obviously the Piastri fucking mugging of Leclerc.
I'll say, I think that to me, Piastri's getting daddy of the day. Maybe that moment's daddy of the day. What moment was so sexy to me was in the, like, they're both, when Leclerc was just like lap after lap trying to get him. And they had that run, the turn into like the final big long straight. And like Piastri goes and there's like a little bit of drifting. And then Leclerc goes and it's like a little bit of like the two of them.
Yeah.
Just like on the fucking limit. Like, fucking having that little bit of drift. And I was like, that's so sick.
Sliding. They were both watching that together.
Yeah. And they were both like, oh, that cool down room.
Yeah.
It was because
Russell just randomly there too.
Yeah. Hello, fellow kids. Yeah. That cool down. Like, no one spoke for like the first like 2 minutes.
Yeah, the Oscar Piastri podcast kind of sucks.
Yeah.
It was awesome. It was like, did any of you guys destroy your back? And they were all like, no, we're good. He's like, yeah, no, me neither.
Yeah,
My
yeah.
back feels fine.
I'm chilling actually. Yeah. Yeah, he's like, there's no Verstappen versplaining, Max-splaining in Oscar Piastri's podcast.
And George is just trying to like keep a low profile, not have too much attention drawn to himself because he doesn't really deserve to be there.
Right. Because I was thinking, I was like, is it something about like these three guys that like make for just awkwardness? Which I think is maybe true, but I think if George had felt like he deserved to be there, then he would be like talking, he'd be like, so like, yeah, in turn 4, but he was just like, oh, like, I shouldn't even be here. So he was.
Oscar's like he's a different generation to either of those two. Doesn't seem like Leclerc and George like fuck with each other. Like, I don't think they dislike each other, but I don't think they're friends.
Right.
Here's an interesting question. So I think Leclerc, he's not friends with Max, but I think they're like work
back.
Friends. They're work friends, I would say. I would say that they're work friends. I would say that Leclerc's guys that he would chum it up with are Max, maybe Lando, because Lando's friends with everybody.
Yeah.
Max and Leclerc, Max and Lando. Who else would you say Leclerc? Oh, Gasly, obviously, if Gasly was in there.
Oh, like yeah.
He fucks with Gasly heavy.
Yeah.
He's French. I'm not sure who else he would love, but like in terms
honestly,
of
like Carlos,
Carlos,
I feel like Leclerc's dream thing is he wins and then it's Max and Carlos. And then he's like, I'm just a happy
happy guy.
But you know what? I can't get invested in these guys' fucking emotions anymore. So you know what? I don't even want to think in these terms.
No, I can. I think Lando's dream is Lando wins Max, and then Lando. I think
and
Lando
like Daniel,
and then Daniel, or just Lando fuck with George or not really.
I don't
think so. But George, I think George loves Alex. I think George and Alex are boys.
I think they're boys. I think that like, yeah. I was like, George Russell's ideal podium is George Russell, and George Russell.
No, who do you think George Russell's ideal podium is? It's George, Alex, and then who's the third one? You think?
George, Alex,
Fernando.
And Fernando, yeah.
I think
I always forget that they're fucking boys
because he's such an only child guy that's like friends with the adults.
Yes. George Russell is absolute.
George is also that kid in high school that like abandoned you in 9th grade to be friends with the upperclassmen, to be the upperclassman's pet, and then is fucking alone when you're old,
right?
Like because they all left.
No, George is like someone who is like. Tom hiked what's that scene in like, I spoke to a man who hiked 3 mountains. He's just like, from Superbad. He's just like a guy who'd be like, Tom's a really interesting guy. Yeah. He's in an interesting crossroads in his life and career. And they're like, dude, you're 15. What are you talking about?
George likes to think he's like more mature than all his friends his age.
Yeah. I mean, George just like absolutely like would be the kid that wore a suit to fucking high school and had
at least a blazer, a briefcase wanker. Exactly.
He's fully. I mean,
he's fully briefcase wanker. That is so true.
I love him. I love how just out of time and space he is.
I went. He is unstuck from time. What is crazy is the feeling I have when Sainz and Perez crashed. I went, oh no. And they're going, that puts George Russell on the podium. I went, oh yes. Immediately. It's amazing.
I was so rock hard when that happened, when they crashed.
I loved Perez's hands, his expressive hands. I know he got out to fucking yell at him, to do his road rage. And had Carlos Sainz.
Radio of the day.
Oscars.
Day.
Yes. Where do you see my dick? Where do you see my dick? I'ma beat that F1 up like bam.
Oh, I loved, maybe I'll give this for like red flag of the day, but also radio of the day, when Ferrari was like trying to do their little box opposite Leclerc or box opposite Piastri. I was like, in what world? It's like you're doing a pump fake for nobody. There's no one on you, and you're like doing a pump fake thinking that someone will bite. I'm like, what is this fucking like attempt?
McLaren was on it. They pump faked. I forgot who they pump faked, but they gave Lando tons of clear air. They got somebody out of the fucking way. They think they got Albon, or they pump faked to Williams, I think. But
well, that was actually made sense. Like it makes sense to pump fake if there's like someone to be pump faked. But with 10 laps to go, they were like,
they think
maybe maybe we'll pit. It's like, no, you won't. What are you talking about?
The other thing that was crazy was, I know you liked this new guy, Brian.
Oh, I mean, I don't know if I.
No, but he was doing a lot of like, come on, Charles, you can do it. Like Charles, I'm like, dude, this guy, this isn't like Lewis fighting for 9th. He doesn't need encouragement.
Right.
This guy he's got a little George Russell energy. He's a little overeager at times. I think we remember France 2022. Yeah. I don't think we need to encourage this guy to grab the win. I think he's trying really hard.
But I was like, dude, I was like, come on, go for a fucking lunge.
Yeah, exactly. It sounded like you or me on the radio.
Right. Sure.
Come on, Leclerc. Like, I'm getting bored here.
Yeah, Oscar just had everything covered. Just covered the whole fucking track.
That's the problem with those two as teammates. It's not like oh, this one likes that track, that one likes this track. This week will be Oscar's race, that week will be Lando's race. It's like their skill sets are like they're opposite of one another. It seems like, at least at this current moment, Lando's better at qualifying.
Yeah.
So he'll be in front. But Oscar he's just a fucking savage racer, savage start. Like knows how to start.
Totally.
I don't know how great Oscar is at start. Well, Lando's just not good at starts.
Yeah.
Oscar's competent starter and then amazing on those fucking lunges.
No, he's got
savage.
He's got his racecraft is next level. Karen of the day, we already said. Lewis, maybe also a little bit of Lando. Daddy of the day.
Or Lando snitching.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah.
Daddy of the day. Oscar. I'm going to give a daddy of the day to Nicole Piastri.
Who's a literal daddy of us and a biological parent of, she's mommy of the day and daddy of the day.
And, you know, like this was Oscar's best. I mean, he said it was like, this is the best race of my career. And I think having mom there fucking showed out.
Did you like having your parents come to your sporting events?
No. But you know, I didn't have Nicole Piastri as my mother.
True. That's true. That was awesome seeing her at the with the team.
Yeah.
By the way, weirdly not in the fucking garage. Did you notice that?
That's right.
Did you see her next to fucking Andrea with a headset? No, you fucking didn't.
But like this, she was behind there, but in the fucking masses.
Yeah. It was great to see her.
Payback of the day brought to you by Cash App. I mean, I think it's got to be Oscar Piastri.
Yeah, getting team orders and being like, no, bitch. It's actually no, it's like it's the meme. It's call an ambulance, but not for me. It's like, yeah, there'll be team orders, but not for me.
Yeah. Yeah, someone wrote, Oscar, fuck them papaya rules. Vankas, not only does Cash App sponsor our favorite perfectly branded Formula One team, but they also make it easier for you to save money so you can do things that you love, like going to an F1 race. Boobies. Listen, to be honest, we thought that Cash App was just a way to send people money, right? You just send people money. Hey, Cash App me. Okay, I got you. But actually, it's a faster and simpler way to bank. You can start saving with as little as $1 with no hidden fees, no minimum balance requirements, and no account fees. Minimum balance requirements is crazy. It's just like, let me live. And Cash App lets you do that. And we all know that overdraft fees make no sense. Why are you charging someone if they don't have any money? Plus, when you deposit $300 or more in paychecks, you can get up to $50 in free overdraft coverage. It pays to get paid on Cash App. So go download the app today. Now back to the show. And red flag of the day.
I think maybe the emotional blackmail of Lando Norris. Or is it Lando Norris for not getting out of these situations?
Right. At a certain point, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. There's this great bit that I've seen. It was like, fool me 3 times, shame on, shame on me again. I should know what's going on. It's like, fool me 4 times. Actually, shame on you. You're taking advantage of a defenseless person. What's next? Singapore is next.
Exciting.
Predicciones.
Where do you see my dick? Hey, bitch. Where do you see my dick?
You're going for Oscar Piastri.
I'm
going for Lando Norris.
Oh, Captain, my Captain.
Oh, Captain, my fuck. It's like, it's now or fucking never, dude. It's this year. I'm just like, I'm giving Lando the rest of this year. This is the year. It's either
Before what? Before what? Finish the thought.
Before I emotionally detach from him.
Hey, Lando, I'm warning you. When Brian emotionally detaches, when the warmth of the Brian's sun leaves you, it is a cold and dark place that you do not want to be in.
That's right, babe. Done it before, and I'll do it again to
Brian,
you, Lando.
Brian does what I like to call, I've patented this phrase. It's not a phrase I patented. I patented this phrase for this situation. Yeah. I call it the bend and snap. Brian will bend and bend and bend. He'll bend for Hungary. He'll bend for Monza. He'll bend for Spain. He'll bend for Canada. But eventually, he's gonna snap.
Yeah. He gonna snap.
He's gonna snap,
So-
and he'll be like,
so
Lando, who?
Never heard of him.
Lando
Don't know
never
that
heard of
guy.
her.
That is our pod.
Brian.
What?
Do you need to write Lando a letter?
Maybe.
Might need to write Lando a letter and read it on the
I
pod.
might need to read Lando.
If Brian writes you a letter, that's like your last chance. So
What it means is that he loves you.
it means he loves you, but maybe not for long. So
Well, it means he loves you and he wants to continue to love you. But if you fucking things don't change, then there's, there are limits. There are track limits to my love.
let's write Lando a letter. Read it on the Patreon.
Yeah, I might have to do that. Subscribe to the Patreon. We've done 2 episodes this week. This was honestly a kind of Patreon-esque episode.
Let's see how it was received. No, because this is the kind of shit we do. Let's see. This is the kind of shit we do on the Patreon. We'll see what Gen Pop
We'll see if you
thinks.
guys liked it. We'll see if you guys like it. The Gen Pop. All right, Bankers. Goodbye.
Love you, Vankas.